With me is the former president of the Tibetan government-in-exile, also known as the Central Tibetan Administration, Dr. Lobsang Sangay. Sir, welcome to WION. It's great to have you here in our office. Namaste to you and
Namaste, Siddhanji. Good to be, in your show. Thanks for inviting me.
thank you so much for being here. And my first question to you is, we'll start with the newsy bit in terms of one story that has been the talk in terms of the new flag of many people, the Tibetan community here in India. Is being talked about. It is a flag which will be standardized flag. We have seen conversation coming from Dharamshala as well. So, can you essentially tell us that what's the reason of having this flag and what's the difference when it comes to the previous flags the community had?
Now, historically, if you go back, right, so we used to have a Tibetan flag with one lion and one, sun, and then two lions and the sun, and then two lions carrying a wish-fulfilling jewel, and then two lions, both the feet on the ground, and others, 1 feet on the ground and one, feet holding the, wish-fulfilling jewel. So for outsiders, it looks the same. But for insiders, then there are subtle differences. So there has been a talk. I think this plan was there for almost 15 years, this discussion, to standardize the flag, and we form a committee also. And they have come out with a draft proposal. And during COVID, we could not implement it. Now I'm glad the Tibetan Parliament has taken up. So they will standardize it. So from today on, the flag will be printed and published and shared around the world with one flag. So that when we have marches and protests, it has become fashionable and patriotic thing to do. For example, wearing a, flag, you carry flag, it has to be the same design. So that is the standardization of one Tibetan flag for everybody.
So my second question, the big story of this year perhaps has been the announcement of the reincarnation of His Holiness, Dalai Lama. If you can explain us the basic focus in terms of the announcement that was made and how it impacts the office of Dalai Lama and also for the Tibetan community across the world and of course inside Tibet as well.
Yes, first of all, when His Holiness the Dalai Lama made the announcement about his reincarnation, that the institution of Dalai Lama will continue, his reincarnation will come. It was a big news and also relief for a lot of Tibetans around the world, because previously he has said also that, this could be the last Dalai Lama, because he actually felt that perhaps the institution of Dalai Lama could end on a very high note, because he is popular around the world, inside, outside Tibet, and he has achieved a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But then for the last 14 years, since he made the announcement in 2011 about his reincarnation, appeals and prayers have come from all over the world, including from inside Tibet and whole of Southeast Asia and Central Asia as well. So now, listening to the followers, the Guru has decided to fulfill the wishes and the prayers of the followers. So that's why reincarnation will come. Mm-hmm. Now, it will have a major ramification. For example, for India, right? His Holiness Dalai Lama is revered in the whole of Himalayan belt, all the way from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh. Mm-hmm. Now, if there is a Chinese puppet imposed guy, Dalai Lama, then that person, this is Chinese government strategy, will have influence potentially all over Himalayan region. Mm-hmm. And it's a very sensitive area. Mm-hmm. So that's why there's a direct ramification for India. Mm-hmm. And also for Buddhists at large, why should a communist party who doesn't believe in religion, who says religion is poison, should have right to select a spiritual, religious leader? So all the Southeast Asian countries, including India or South Asia, if you allow Chinese government, to do this, then they will say we'll select the next Dalai Lama. Mm-hmm. And, with Vatican, they have a deal to select the bishops by the Communist Party, and imams in Xinjiang are selected by them, and so on and so forth, So this could be a paradigm shift or the assertive nature of Chinese world order that we see. So for Tibetans, of course, it will have major ramification. So that's why His Holiness has said, now the next Dalai Lama will be born outside of China, because it's his choice. It's his reincarnation. So he will not be born inside of China. That Tibet is under occupation of China. We should take that. So whoever is, selected or chosen by the Chinese government will be the fake one. So one directed by His Holiness Dalai Lama will be the real one, and Tibetans will follow that.
A lot of questions I have now from your answer, but my first question will be, His Holiness, the next His Holiness the Dalai Lama will be born outside Tibet. Are there any chances that it could be India? I know it's very hypothetical because we are mere mortals to decide how the reincarnation will happen, which country. But is there any chance of being born in India? And if yes, if next Dalai Lama is born in India, how it will impact the Tibetan community?
Now, the institution of Dalai Lama is also quite international in the sense the sixth Dalai Lama was born in Tawang, right? Fourth Dalai Lama was born in Mongolia. So in fact, the third Dalai Lama traveled to Mongolia at the request of Mongolians. And he taught there for many years. In fact, he died there. So that's why, upon the request of followers of Mongolia, that the next Dalai Lama be born, and he was born in Mongolia. Now, if you take that logic, and His Holiness Dalai Lama says, I'm a proud son of India, my brain and the knowledge Gyan is of, Nalanda tradition, and my body is made up of dal and roti that I've eaten in India for 60 years. So he's a proud son of India. And obviously, he really regards, India and Indian people with, love and respect. And whole of Himalayan belt and largest are Buddhist, and largest number of Tibetans are still in India, right? So if you have to categorize, then the likelihood of born in India is high. Having said that, it is for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to decide to be born anywhere. Now that he has traveled around the world, so it could be anywhere technically. But if you go by Guru-Chela relationship and his likeness and where he spent the most time, it's India.
So in future, do you think there can be a possibility of two Dalai Lamas, like we saw when it comes to Panchen Lama as well, a Dalai Lama appointed by his office, by the tradition, by the Tibetan community, and a Dalai Lama appointed by the Chinese government, by the Communist Party of China? And do you think if there are two Dalai Lamas, there might be an issue for the global Tibetan community, both outside Tibet and inside Tibet?
Now, on the one hand, no, because with Panchen Lama, the problem is that both of them, are inside Tibet. So one endorsed by the Dalai Lama, the real Panchen Lama, disappeared. He was kidnapped at the age of 5. It's been 30 years. He has disappeared. So no one, can pay respect and, get teachings from him. Now, in his place, they have appointed a boy whose parents were or are Communist Party members, right? Now, he is seen by Tibetans as the fake Panchen Lama or the Chinese Panchen Lama. And he spent more time in Beijing than in Lhasa or in Shigatse. So the respect for the Chinese Panchen Lama is less. But they control both of them. Now, with the Dalai Lama, they will be born outside. And as per the instruction authorization, to the region or regency of couple of monks. They will head, search committee, and they will go through the process and find the boy, and he'll be enthroned. He'll be the real one. So in that sense, the Dalai Lama born outside will have the mobility and the education and exposure to travel around the world, right? So this Dalai Lama will be the legitimate Dalai Lama. Very sadly, the one selected by the Chinese government, a young boy, who Tibetans will say, you are the fake Dalai Lama. And the parents also will be ostracized, disrespected by Tibetans, So it's tragedy. They have to go through a very painful experience. But the Chinese government doesn't care. They'll put the boy and the family through, major embarrassment, suffering. And then they will give them, obviously, office and the perks and the salary. But, they will be forced to do this, That shows that the Chinese government is more interested in the office of the Dalai Lama, more interest in controlling the office of Dalai Lama. Other than that, they're really not interested in the, in terms of religiosity and religion and faith, or even the well-being of the child.
The Chinese government, if you look at the conversation from their side when it comes to the office of the Dalai Lama, they come up with a point saying that there is a golden urn process through which they, the Chinese rulers, used to elect the next Dalai Lama. His Holiness has been talking about the reincarnation is his choice, his right. What do you have to say about the Chinese golden urn process which they have been talking about?
Now, golden urn is just an urn made out of gold. Other than that, it means nothing. Now, in 1793, right, Chinese government came out with these 29 provisions, and Article 1 deals with the selection of the reincarnated lamas, including Dalai Lamas. Their justification was that they want to regularize the selection process of reincarnation, and there was a corrupt system. Now, we don't say at all that there is no corruption or manipulation reincarnation system. We do in our history. But then we have a very democratic and transparent way of solving this. If someone comes through corrupt or through some kind of manipulation, that Lama will be disrespected, not followed by Tibetans. Some great Lamas, their lineage have ended because they follow a wrong or a corrupt process, right? So that's how, some great Lamas have come and disappeared. Their lineage have not continued. So that's how we deal with it. Now, they brought golden urn, and it brought a lot of corruption. Chinese officials who were in charge of golden urn, they were asking for bribes after bribes. So historically documented, okay? So it did not bring, it did not end corruption, it enhanced or increased corruption. It didn't. Now, regularization also, it didn't do much. So they will bring this and say, you have to use this. And I've also been on the record saying that if you say 1793 as the date, then 1809 is the, ninth Dalai Lama was born, and 10th, 11th, 12th, if you take all four, all died young, at the age of 14 and 17 and 21 and 24, something like that, right? So that means if you use golden urn, it brings bad luck and early death to the Chinese interfaith Dalai Lamas. If you do that, if you go by their logic, it isn't bad luck. Why you want to go through this process? Now, our claim is that no, we did not use golden urn. Only twice, maybe 11th and 12th, because we already pre-selected our candidate just to appease, the Chinese. We use golden urn. So that's about it. And then the 13th Dalai Lama was selected by Kundeling Taktsir Rinpoche. He was the regent of Tibet, and he also became the teacher of 13th Dalai Lama, So then the 14th Dalai Lama was selected by the regent. So Dalai Lama appoints a regional regency who are authorized to select. And that has been the process with us. And then golden urn, as far as Tibetans are concerned, is irrelevant.
Sir, during your presidency of the Tibetan government in exile, was there any point there were conversations with the Chinese side? Because there have been documents in the past of conversation between the Tibetan government in exile, the representative of His Holiness, not in the last century, I'm talking about last 20 years perhaps, where there has been conversation. And if yes, where were the conversations stopped, and are the conversations still happening?
So from 2002 to 2011 and 12th of June, right, the conversation took place. But the last conversation ended, I think, in the month of August or something of 2010, before I got elected. So where the two envoys of the Dalai Lama went to China. So when I got elected, right, they had already been to China. And that was the last visit. And once I got, once I took my position in August 8th of, 2011, two envoys came to me and said they will make one more effort to have dialogue with the Chinese government. And I told them, please go ahead. We should have dialogue. And they were never invited back. And then by June of 2012, self-immolation, Tibetans were burning themselves in Tibet. And two envoys decided that given the critical situation inside Tibet with increasing number of self-immolation, and the fact that they had 9 rounds of official dialogue, which did not lead anywhere. So they decided to resign. And the resignation was submitted to, and because they were in voice of the Dalai Lama, only His Holiness Dalai Lama could, authorize it. So they resigned and they left the office.
So far, no conversation still?
And then, since I took over, no conversation, no formal conversations. Now, having said that, you do meet some Chinese, Buddhists or some claiming to be Xinhua journalists. They all are reporters / informers / they want to come and ask your opinion. Those, and then, few used to go and meet with His Holiness Dalai Lama also. So in his book, Voice for the Voiceless, the latest book, essentially it's his political biography. He said that the last meeting he had, that is informal, was in 2019. But this was informal. The formal ended in 2010.
Okay.
Dialogue. So informally it went on, but last was 2019.
So where do you see the future of the Tibetan community, the Tibetan refugees, especially here in India? Many of them now in their 2nd generation, 3rd generation, many have gone from India. Do you see the global support waning, falling also? Because we have seen an increasingly powerful China where many have, of course, accepted the rise of China and, of course, will not be keen to challenge China. Do you feel scared that you are facing a world where the Chinese are seen as much powerful, and many countries will say, okay, let's listen to the Chinese and not try to provoke the Chinese in many ways, especially trying to raise the Tibetan issue?
Yes and no, in the sense, we are very fortunate to have our root guru like His Holiness, the great 14th Dalai Lama, And, we also, as Buddhists, we believe in impermanence, The, empires come and go. In the last 20th century, 8 empires collapsed. The British Empire, French, Russian, you just name it, right? Austro-Hungarian. So empires come and we all think, wow, they have come, and no one stays permanently. Dictators come, they all die. Right? So this is the notion of impermanence. We believe that. And then Tibetans also, our civilization is, through 3,000 years old, It's in our DNA. Why we live in mountaintops is because we are rugged, strong people. So yes, this will go up and down. China is becoming more powerful, sure. But in my own experience, when I took over in 2011, it was very difficult to get attention and support till 2016. Because China was seen with, positive views. 2006 on is switched. Then more people view China negatively now. And the COVID has really increased the negative perception of China. So in that sense now there's more space. So that's why in 2020 we passed a law in Tibet, in US called Tibetan Policy Support Act. And recently we also passed 2 laws, the Reciprocity and Resolve Tibet Act in the US, right? So even in Europe, now I could clearly see with the small countries, they all want to know what's going on because China is definitely, is rising. But then the Chinese world order, I would say, is risky, if not dangerous world order. And we have lived through this for 60 years. So one must understand there is present world order. Despite all the hypocrisy and double standard of the West-led, world order, the Chinese world order is worse. At least in the West-led world order, I can go to America, I can go to any of the European countries, even in India, I can criticize any leader. I can walk out of the studio criticizing, Indian government or Indian leaders. I will not go to jail. But in Chinese world order, whatever we are discussing, if we discuss, they will arrest me, put to jail. Right? Their foreign minister just disappeared, And the Chinese government appoints a general, disappears. And appoints another general, disappears. No one in the government can ask about the disappearance of their ministers and generals. If you do, you might be demoted or arrested. That is Chinese world order, right? So that's we should be aware of, and that's how the whole world is coming to realize China is rising, but this is not the world order we want. In that sense, it has created space for Tibetans and other people to continue to advocate for a cause and the growing awareness and support. That's why, Xinjiang about the crime against humanity or genocide, where 2-3 million people are put in concentration camps, and issue of Hong Kong, and now increasingly about Taiwan are highlighted, because Tibet is not an exception. It's a pattern. If you look at all these things, it's a system that the Chinese world order system that we are dealing with, that has created space and awareness around the world.
But what's your expectation from Donald Trump's America? Because do you think that Donald Trump will be supportive of your cause of Tibetans? Because historically, the Americans have supported it. But do you think that in American administration, last president, Joe Biden, if I'm correct, he never met His Holiness Dalai Lama. Are you hopeful of Donald Trump meeting His Holiness? Because that is, of course, something I don't imagine, because he is someone who sees himself as a businessman as well. And if he gets a good deal, he's willing to compromise with many principles and rules as well. So what's your expectations with Donald Trump? Hopeful, or are you pessimistic?
Now, people have different views about President Donald Trump. We all know that, right? But interestingly, the 2020 Tibet's Policy and Support Act was passed in 2020, signed by President Donald Trump, as a law in America. It's in law in America to support Tibet. And that same act recognized my office, Sikyong office, and Central Tibet Administration is acknowledged, So and recently, the Tibet Resolve Act was also passed by the US Congress and signed by President Trump and made into a law. Now you ask a very interesting question, whether President Donald Trump will meet with His Holiness Dalai Lama or not. I've never shared this, but today I'll share it with you. On his, I think, 85th birthday, the former President Obama and others, right, Bush and all issued greetings, video messages. And at that time, President Donald Trump wrote to His Holiness Dalai Lama, wishing him happy birthday. And in that same letter, he said, Your Holiness, please visit White House.
Okay.
So there is a written invitation from President Donald Trump in 2020.
Oh, 2020?
Yes, the first term.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this year, did he wish?
This year, the Secretary of State,
but no wishes.
Rubio wished. In fact, there was a video message, and also a friend of mine, Assistant Secretary of State.
Okay.
She came and visited Dharamsala, personally wished His Holiness. So I've been involved in arranging some of those meetings, especially the last two meetings between President Obama and His Holiness Dalai Lama. Maybe today I can also share. Normally they always meet in the map room, which is adjacent to the Oval Office. And actually, I had a discussion with the people in the White House at that time. I said, why don't you guys take His Holiness, invite His Holiness? There was his 80th birthday from the map room to the Oval Office. So President Obama did invite His Holiness Dalai Lama to the Oval Office, and they exchanged gifts in the Oval Office.
Okay.
So historically, His Holiness Dalai Lama has also visited White House Oval Office.
Okay.
Now, not many people know this. Now, I'm saying this now because the library of, President's Library of Obama has released a lot of photographs.
Okay.
And then in those photographs, his Dalai Lama's visit to White House were all released. And there are around a dozen or so photographs of His Holiness Dalai Lama inside the Oval Office.
But your hopes with Donald Trump, because he hasn't written the letter this year. Secretary of State messaging is big thing, but the fact that the president hasn't messaged or written is also a big thing. It's a big gap. The US president not writing a letter.
No, actually, he was the first president to write a letter.
Okay.
And invite His Holiness Dalai Lama. In 2020. So that letter is still there, He wished
but
His Holiness birthday.
Things have changed since 2020,
No,
2025.
he's the same guy. You can make the argument he has changed or not. Now, so he was, greeted and also invited to the White House. So that invitation, stands even today, right?
Okay.
So that we can, conclude because it's his, signed letter.
Okay.
Now, this time, yes, Rubio and others have done it. Whether they will meet or not, it's for His Holiness Dalai Lama has to travel, things like that, to the US. So, till His Holiness the Dalai Lama decides to travel and happens to be in Washington, D.C., we won't know. So I'll just say, it's still unknown, but all the presidents have met. Biden didn't, but still, he committed during election campaign that he would meet. But His Holiness never went to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Had he gone, perhaps President Biden would have met His Holiness.
So moving on, you mentioned about a strong linkage with India. That is the Nalanda school of thought. Now, if you can perhaps shed light on the Nalanda Buddhism and its connect with Tibetan Buddhism, because this is something that His Holiness has many times talked about. If you listen to his, I've met His Holiness, and in fact, he also pointed out to this connect. So if you can perhaps, for our viewers who are perhaps not understanding the strong linkages between Tibetan Buddhism and Nalanda school of thought when it comes to Buddhism.
We talk about India becoming number one by 2047, right? But India was number one during Ashoka period and thereafter and before that. So if you look at the period when India was number one, when 27% of global economy was in India, right, and politically very influential, was that era. That's when Nalanda and Takshashila all were, the great international universities. 10,000 students from all over the world came to Nalanda to study, similar in Takshashila and other places. So Nalanda was the center of education and wisdom and knowledge. And our Lotsavas, the translators, the great scholars, sponsored by the kings and the ministers, the rich people, to give gold and silver, to go to the holy land of India, learn Sanskrit, translate Buddhist texts into Tibetan and bring it to Tibet. Can you imagine? So if 10 try, 7 or 8 of them die on the way because of, of wild forests, wild animals, bandits, and just don't survive the weather and the climate, But 2 or 3 who make it. So in our history, the scholars are the heroes of Tibet. Can you imagine? Normally, war generals or the leaders are heroes of nations, right? Because for us, Nalanda is so precious, so sacred. Scholars in the Lotsavas, the translators, are the heroes, right? So through Nalanda, we brought Buddhism to Tibet. And that's why, we, introduce and embrace. Now, it's only in Tibetan language. We have preserved more text of Nalanda or more text of what Buddha said and his disciples said in Tibetan language. So in that sense, Tibetan language is the richest in terms of Buddhist texts. Yeah.
Richest in terms of Buddhist texts and perhaps history of ancient India as well?
Yes, of course. So that's how we have saved it. Now, His Holiness also say, I am, he's a proud son of India, but also say India is my guru. I am Chela. But he says, Chela is more knowledgeable about Nalanda tradition than the guru, technical guru. Now, we are trying to build, initially it used to be called, the Nalanda Institution of the Dalai Lama, in Bodh Gaya. And I helped, procure the land with the full aid of Chief Minister Nitish Kumar ji and his principal secretary, a friend of mine. And then, I was chair of the Nalanda Institution of the Dalai Lama. And the Indian government was, granting us, around 400 crores to build it. So we are trying to build an institution in Bodh Gaya, and I was happy to, make efforts to help that. So we are trying to bring a small Nalanda in Bodh Gaya, where people around the world could come and learn about Nalanda, and especially about His Holiness thoughts and His Holiness legacy.
So one question I would like to go back on, it's related to US policies. Donald Trump had cut funding for the US aid, but I believe he has started the funding as well to support the Tibetan community. If you can perhaps give us the facts.
Now, US government used to give around $42 billion a year through USAID. Of which we had to lobby very hard. So every year we used to get 1 million and 3 million, and we increased up to 12.5 million or something. That was cut initially. Now they have recently restored $7 million.
Okay.
Yeah. But then there was Radio Free Asia, Voice of America, and all the programs, international programs were cut. That included Tibetan language program as well.
So they had cut the Tibetan language program?
Along with all others. Essentially, they shut down whole of Radio Free Asia and Voice of America, Okay. Along with the Tibetan service was also shut.
So it's shut right now?
Shut right now,
So only $7 million US dollars, and that is used for helping the refugee community?
The Tibetans, yes.
Okay. Okay. So my last question to you is about your story. If you can give us your story, because your story is also very inspiring for many Tibetans who are coming up and dealing with struggles of life. If you can briefly explain your story reaching this position. You are the first president of the Tibetan government-in-exile. It's a democratic process. Rarely that people give powers, but His Holiness give his powers. He became a spiritual leader, and the political power now rests in the parliament, the office of the president. So your story briefly, sir.
Oh, it's very kind of you. Today I look, suited and booted and all that. But I grew up in a very small gaon in Darjeeling district called Lamahata Basti, So literally I grew up, my Indian government sanctioned us 1 acre of land. And our family had 2 or 3 cows. So I grew up cutting grass for cows, fetching wood from the forest, and a dozen or so chickens. So we were like maybe bordering, I don't want to say poverty, but poor. And then I went to study in Tibetan refugee school. Again, thanks to Indian government. It's subsidized by Indian government, but we had only 1 barter shoe, 1 cotton pant, and 1 cotton shirt. You can look at my height, right? Each year I was growing by 1 inch or 2, but each time you wash your pant, it shrinks by 1 inch or 2. So I grew up like the very poor. I just had dal bhat every day for dinner. So not much. And then I came to Delhi University, Hansraj. Then I got Fulbright scholarship to study master's degree at Harvard Law School and did my doctorate degree at Harvard Law School, became a fellow. So in that sense, I got a job. I went to America, got my job, in that sense, many will say, fulfilled my material ambition, or career goals, so to speak. But then I decided, I became, who I am, thanks to His Holiness Dalai Lama, Tibetan government exile, and my parents. So I must pay back. And then I ran for my position in 2011, even though they were all senior members, former Prime Minister, senior most minister, Deputy Speaker, Speaker of the Parliament, and senior most Secretary of His Holiness Dalai Lama. And I was the youngest, I was nobody. I competed, but somehow Tibetans elected. So if I quote Anupam Kher's show, Kuch bhi ho sakta hai. Isn't it something like that?
Yeah.
So in life it happened, and I served for 10 years. I was very fortunate. I worked very closely with His Holiness Dalai Lama because politically, administratively, I was his right-hand man. And then in 2011, he decided to separate church and the state, and he gave full administrative and political responsibilities to my office, to my colleague, and I happily served as much as I could for 10 years. And then, we have 2 terms limit. So I finished in 2021. And then, I'm back at Harvard Law School now as a senior fellow and also a lecturer. So I teach, a seminar at Harvard Law School in the spring. So essentially, this is my story.
And do you think that one day you will be back in Tibet? You're born in India, but are you hopeful?
Absolutely. I get up every morning thinking I am a Tibetan. Before I go to bed, I always tell I am a Tibetan. My mission is to go back. That dream, that is there. So that's why here I am in India now. I am giving talks in 15 or 16 universities in 14 days' time.
Okay.
And whole of October I'm traveling, whole of November I'm traveling, and half of December. So only November, when my daughter comes from college for Thanksgiving vacation, 4 days, I'm home. And then December break, I'm home. Other than that, I'm traveling, because this year is His Holiness' 90th birthday.
Yeah.
Now he's not able to travel around. So in November of 2017, His Holiness was giving talk to a lot of, they were like group of foreign students from all over the world, youth leaders. And I had just had a darshan. I was driving down, and His Holiness, through his office, called me up, and I went to that meeting. And His Holiness said, "Now I'm aging, and from now on, I won't be travel much, but there are two people who knows me and who can reflect and represent me are," and he made us, stand up. And Samdo Rinpoche, my predecessor, and myself. I said, these two people will, they understand fully my thoughts, my thinking. They will reflect and represent me, around the world. So this is not a formal appointment per se, but then that has dawned on me that I must do everything in my life to reflect and as best as I could to represent His Holiness thinking, his vision, around the world. And this is 90th birthday. We all are, all the Tibetans are contributing in our own small ways to celebrate and honor His Holiness Dalai Lama. And my contribution is to have a very hectic schedule for next 4 months, and talk about His Holiness' vision, reflect him. This is my way of wishing him happy birthday, and at the same time pray that he lives long, and then definitely his legacy should carry on, and then should spread around the world, like Buddha did, like Mahatma Gandhi did, like great leaders do, right? So this is my job. So this is what I'm trying to do. So I'm glad I'm here. I could share my personal thoughts, and you asked very good questions too.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, your story is truly inspiring. I was literally on the edge of my seat, as you can see. But we will be in touch. And of course, this is something that has been a big story, not only here in India, the story of the Tibetan community, and of course, the resilience, but globally as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Siddhant.